Hello there, and welcome to the Sleeping Science channel. Tonight we'll drift through the quiet architecture of time, a place where history is not a noisy list of battles, but a slow, continuous river of human resilience and memory. It is a space where the past is simply a deep, steady foundation, holding you up with the strength of stone and the gentleness of old earth. Perhaps the day has been full of noise, or the demands of the present moment have felt too heavy to carry alone. Let your shoulders rest. Let gravity hold you completely, reminding you that you are part of something much older and more stable than this single day. Tonight, we will walk backwards through the years, not to study, but to witness the soft, enduring moments that built the world you know. We will see the first hands that shaped clay into shelter, and watch the first eyes that mapped the silent geometry of the stars. It is a journey into the shared heritage of breath and thought, a reminder that you are the continuation of a long, unbroken line of dreamers who found their way through the dark. If this calm space brings you peace, consider sharing it. It helps other wandering minds find their way here too. Now let's begin. Imagine the silence before the first city rose, a time when the world was vast, green, and governed only by the rhythm of the sun and the moon. The air is cool and smells of rain on dry grass, a scent that has not changed in 10,000 years. You are standing on the edge of a wide river valley where the water moves with a heavy silver grace, carving its path through the land. There is no urgency here, only the slow, deliberate pulse of the natural world, turning the seasons one by one, and life adjusts once more. In this quiet expanse, the first shift happens not with a shout, but with a pause, a decision to stop wandering and to rest. You can see the small, flickering light of a fire, a warm orange heart beating against the vast blue of the twilight. This is the first anchor, the gathering place where humans decided to sit together and wait for the dawn. The fire crackles, a sound of comfort that pushes back the shadows, creating a circle of warmth where safety is not a place, but a feeling shared between kin. The ground beneath you is firm, rich with the potential of centuries yet to come. It is here that hands first reach down to touch the damp earth, learning the texture of mud and the binding strength of clay. You watch as the wet soil is gathered, pressed and shaped into a humble rectangular form, the first brick. It is a simple thing, drying pale and solid in the heat of the sun, yet it holds the weight of a new idea. It is the beginning of walls, of roofs, of a space carved out from the wild to call home. Layer by layer, these bricks are stacked, joined by the thick, cooling mud of the riverbank. The structure rises slowly, a testament to patience and the quiet coordination of many hands working in unison. There is a soothing rhythm to the work, a repetitive motion of lifting and placing, until a shelter stands against the wind. It is a small enclosure, intimate and secure, a physical manifestation of the human desire to protect and to nurture, and silence follows. Inside these early walls, the air is still and smells of dried earth and straw. The chaotic wind of the open plains does not reach here. There is only a hushed tranquility, a sense of being held. You can feel the coolness of the floor, smoothed by the passage of feet, grounding you in the reality of this ancient domesticity. It is a sanctuary where sleep can come without fear, where the body can relax completely, knowing that the walls are strong and the night is kept at bay. Outside, the river continues its endless journey to the sea, feeding the land with invisible nutrients. The people here have learned to listen to the water, to understand its swelling and its retreating as a language of survival. They dig shallow channels into the soft banks, guiding the silver streams toward fields that wait with open thirst. The water flows gently through these new veins, darkening the soil, turning the dust into a cradle for life. The earth remembers. In these fields, a profound relationship begins between the human hand and the tiny, hard casing of the seed. You watch as a hand opens, scattering grain into the furrows with a gesture of hope and trust. It is a quiet contract with the future, a belief that time will bring growth if one is willing to wait. The seeds settle into the dark, embraced by the moisture and the warmth, beginning the slow, hidden work of germination. Days turn into weeks, marked not by clocks, but by the lengthening of shadows and the changing angle of the light. Above the soil, green shoots pierce the surface, unfolding towards the sun with a fragile, determined strength. It is a slow-motion explosion of life, a sprawling carpet of emerald that ripples like water when the breeze passes over it. This is the first agriculture, a miracle of biology and observation, turning the energy of the sun into sustenance. And the rhythm continues. As the crops rise, so does the sense of permanence. The people do not leave. They tend, they watch, they guard the growing abundance. You can see them walking through the rows, their hands brushing the tops of the wheat or the barley, feeling the density of the grain. There is a deep, satisfying fatigue in this work, the kind that comes from moving in sync with the needs of the living earth. The sun warms their backs, and the soil holds their steps, connecting them to the cycle of the year. When the harvest comes, it is a time of gathering, a convergence of energy and reward. The stalks are cut with tools of flint and stone, distinct clicking sounds echoing in the crisp autumn air. The grain is collected in woven baskets, golden and heavy, the tangible result of seasons of patience. There is a communal hum, a low vibration of shared purpose as the village works together to secure the future. It is a moment of fullness, where the anxieties of scarcity dissolve into the golden light of plenty. The grain is stored in great clay vessels, distinct shapes standing in the cool shadows of the storehouses. These jars are sealed, protecting the harvest from the moisture and the tiny creatures that forage in the dark. You can sense the security this brings, a assurance that when winter arrives, there will be bread, there will be life. It is the foundation of peace, this simple accumulation of resources, allowing the mind to wander beyond the immediate need for food. And the memory holds. With the silos full, the evenings become a time for other things. The fire is built up, and the people gather not just to eat, but to speak. In the flickering light, voices rise and fall, weaving stories that explain the world around them. They speak of the river's spirit, of the stars that guide the seasons, of the ancestors who walked this land before the first brick was laid. These stories are the first history, invisible threads binding the community together in a web of shared meaning. You listen to the cadence of their speech, a language that is musical and rhythmic, born from the sounds of the natural world. It is the sound of wind in the reeds, the call of birds, the steady drum of rain. They are naming the world, giving labels to the phenomena they observe, taming the unknown with the power of the word. Every syllable is a small act of creation, a way of imposing order on the vast, swirling complexity of existence. In the soft clay of the riverbank, someone presses a reed, leaving a wedge-shaped mark. It is a simple tally, a way to count the jars of grain or the heads of cattle. But as you watch, the marks become more complex, evolving from pictures into symbols, from symbols into meaning. This is the birth of writing, the moment where memory is transferred from the mind to the physical world. It is a quiet revolution, occurring in the dust, preserving a thought long after the thinker has gone. And stillness travels through the water. The village grows, expanding slowly outward from the river. New houses are added, clustering together like cells in a living organism. Pathways are worn between them, narrow streets where neighbors pass and nod, where children play in the dust. There is a sense of deepening complexity, a social fabric that is being woven tighter with every passing generation. The simple settlement is becoming a town, a place of specialized roles and shared destiny. You notice the artisans, those who have turned their attention to the materials of the earth. A potter sits at a wheel, hands wet with slip, guiding a lump of clay into a perfect, symmetrical bowl. The wheel spins with a hypnotic hum, a circle of motion that mirrors the turning of the heavens. The clay rises and falls under the pressure of fingers, obedient and fluid, freezing into a shape that will hold water, food, or oil. It is a dance of dexterity and physics. Nearby, a weaver works with fibers of flax or wool, fingers flying across a loom, The threads cross over and under, creating a textile that is both strong and flexible. The patterns emerging in the cloth are geometric, reflections of the ordered world they are building, rows of crops, layers of bricks, the path of the sun. It is a silent mathematics, a tactile expression of logic and beauty that clothes the body and warms the sleeper, and everything rests in its place. Metal too begins to sing. You hear the rhythmic clinking of copper being shaped, a bright, reddish stone that yields to heat and force. It is not yet the iron of war, but the copper of tools and ornaments, gleaming in the sunlight. The smith works with a focused intensity, transforming the raw ore of the mountains into objects of utility and grace. This mastery over matter is a slow ascent, a deepening understanding of the hidden properties of the stones beneath their feet. Trade begins to flow like a second river, invisible but vital. Strangers arrive from distant valleys, carrying stones of blue lapis, shells from the sea, or timber from the high forests. They exchange not just goods, but ideas, their languages mingling in the marketplace. You see the curiosity in their eyes, the recognition of a shared humanity across the barriers of distance. The world is getting larger, the horizon pushed back by the steady rhythm of walking feet. As the society deepens, so does its gaze upward. In the clear, unpolluted night, the sky is a crushing canopy of diamonds. The people watch the stars with a reverence that is equal parts scientific and spiritual. They notice that certain stars rise with the flooding of the river, while others herald the time for harvest. They begin to draw lines between the points of light, creating constellations, projecting their stories onto the canvas of the universe, and silence follows. They build structures to mark these celestial events, standing stones and aligned walls that capture the first rays of the solstice sun. You stand beside a stone pillar, feeling its cold, rough surface, and watch as the sun rises perfectly in line with its shadow. It is a moment of profound alignment, where the earth and the sky lock together in a predictable, comforting embrace. They have found the pulse of the cosmos, and they have learned to keep time with it. This knowledge of time brings a new kind of power, the power of anticipation. They know when the rains will come. They know when the days will shorten. This foresight reduces fear, replacing the anxiety of the unknown with the calm of preparation. They are no longer purely reactive creatures. They are participants in the great cycle, moving in harmony with the turning world. The fear of the dark recedes, replaced by the certainty of the return of the light. Laws begin to take shape, not as restrictions, but as agreements for living together. They are spoken first, then carved into stone steles, standing in the public squares. These are simple rules of fairness, weights and measures, the protection of property, the resolving of disputes. You read the ancient script, sensing the desire for justice, for a balance that mirrors the balance they see in nature. It is the architecture of society, as crucial as the walls of their homes, and the quiet holds. The city is now a complex, breathing entity. Canals bring water into the heart of the living quarters, cooling the air and feeding small gardens of palm and pomegranate. The scent of jasmine and baking bread drifts through the streets, a sensory tapestry of civilized life. You walk through these ancient avenues, feeling the pulse of a community that has found a way to flourish in the desert. It is a triumph of cooperation, a collective dream made solid in mud and stone. Generations pass, and the city rises on the foundations of its ancestors. The layers of the past are distinct. Old walls become the footings for new rooms. Broken pottery is mixed into fresh mortar. History is literal here. It is the ground they walk on. There is no discarding of what came before, only a continuous building up, a deepening of the roots. The past supports the present, holding it up to the light. You see a scribe sitting in the shade of a temple courtyard, a stylus in hand. He is copying an old text, preserving the wisdom of a scholar who lived centuries ago. The clay is soft, the strokes precise. He is a guardian of memory, ensuring that the observations of the stars, the recipes for medicine, and the hymns to the river are not lost to the silence. It is a quiet act of devotion, this transmission of knowledge across the gap of death. The river flows on, indifferent to the city, yet essential to it. It brings the silt that renews the fields, the water that sustains the bodies. The people know this. They treat the water with respect, understanding their dependence on its flow. They build their lives around its moods. A civilization anchored in the fluidity of the natural world. It is a partnership, a delicate balance maintained by vigilance and gratitude. As the sun sets over this ancient city, the walls turn a deep, warm violet. The noise of the market fades, replaced by the lowing of cattle and the calling of mothers to children. The smoke of cooking fires rises in straight columns, connecting the earth to the cooling sky. You feel a profound sense of peace. Here, a recognition that the fundamental rhythms of life, eating, sleeping, working, loving, have not changed. You are home here, in the deep past, safe within the continuity of the human story. As the night deepens over the ancient valley, the temperature drops, bringing a crisp, clean stillness to the air. The stars wheel overhead, a slow-moving clock that ticks in centuries rather than seconds. You are safe here, wrapped in the blanket of history, watching the world breathe in its sleep. There is no hurry to move forward. The past is a vast, quiet room where you can rest as long as you like. The river reflects the starlight, a ribbon of silver light that binds the sleeping city to the distant mountains, and silence follows. When the dawn arrives, it paints the horizon in soft strokes of apricot and violet. The light reveals a landscape that has shifted, expanding in scale and ambition. You are now further along the banks of a great river, where the water is wide and powerful, the lifeline of a kingdom that stretches for miles. Here, the mud brick has given way to stone, a material chosen not for the living, but for the eternal. The ground beneath your feet feels solid, anchored by the weight of limestone and granite, the bones of the earth brought to the surface. You watch as large blocks of white stone are moved from the quarry, not with the roar of engines, but with the quiet, rhythmic power of water and leverage. Men work in unison, their movements coordinated by song, guiding the stone onto wooden sleds that glide over wet sand. There is a grace to this labor, a deep understanding of friction and balance. The stone is heavy, yet it floats along the path prepared for it, destined to become part of something that will outlast the names of those who move it. The river itself becomes a highway for these mountains of rock. Barges made of cedar, smelling of resin and forest, carry the stone downstream, drifting with the current. You can hear the water lapping. Against the wood, a gentle, repetitive sound that speaks of ease and flow. The wind catches the square sails, pushing the vessels along without effort. It is a partnership with the elements, using the natural forces of the world to build the unnatural perfection of the monument. And the tide moves gently on. On the plateau above the floodplain, the structure begins to rise, a perfect geometry against the chaotic blue of the sky. It is a shape of pure stability, a mountain of human design that tapers to a single point, directing the eye upward. You stand at its base, feeling the immense coolness radiating from the stone. The sheer mass of it creates a silence around it, a zone where the wind seems to drop and the noise of the world fades away. It is an anchor for the spirit, a promise that memory can be made solid. Inside, the corridors are narrow and dim, smelling of cool dust and incense. The air here has not moved for 1,000 years. It is preserved, still and sacred. You run, your hand along the wall, feeling the smooth precision of the joints, where stone meets stone with such exactitude that not even a shadow can pass between them. This is the work of master craftsmen, people who treated the rock with respect, shaping it with a patience that we have largely forgotten. Deep within this stone heart, the walls are covered in carvings, a library of images raised in relief. You see figures offering bread and wine, scenes of harvest and celebration, birds taking flight from the marshes. These are not scenes of death, but of life continued. The carvings are painted in vibrant ochre, malachite green, and lapis blue, colors that glow softly in the torchlight. They tell the story of a world that is abundant, ordered, and beautiful, a world they wish to carry with them forever. and everything rests in its place. The purpose of this place is peace, a vessel to carry the soul through the darkness and into the light of a new day. There is no fear here, only the quiet, certainty of transition. The ancient mind did not see an end, but a horizon, a line where the sun dips only to rise again. Standing in this silent chamber, you feel that continuity, the comforting loop of existence that denies the finality of the dark. You are part of this cycle, held within the great, turning wheel of time. Farther down the river, the scale shifts from the monumental to the intricate. You find yourself in a workshop where the air is filled with the scent of beeswax and crushed minerals. Here, artisans are crafting the jewelry that will adorn the sleepers. Gold is hammered into sheets as thin as paper, glowing with a warm, imperishable light. It is a metal that never tarnishes, a symbol of the sun that fits in the palm of a hand. You watch as a craftsman sets a piece of turquoise into the gold, a splash of river blue amidst the solar yellow. These objects, the necklaces, the amulets, the rings, are small prayers made of matter. They are created with a level of detail that requires holding the breath, a focus that narrows the entire world down to the point of a needle. The hands that make them are steady and sure, driven by a desire to create beauty that will remain unseen by the living, intended only for the eyes of the gods. It is a pure form of art, unburdened by the need for applause, existing simply to be perfect. And the quiet deepens. Outside the workshop, the society that supports this artistry is humming with a gentle, bureaucratic order. Scribes sit, cross-legged under the shade of palm awnings, unfurling scrolls of papyrus. The paper is fibrous and pale, made from the reeds of the river, waiting to receive the black ink. The brush moves silently, turning the spoken word into a permanent record. They are counting the sacks of grain, the jars of oil, the height of the river's flood. It is the accounting of abundance, the careful management of the land's generosity. This system of recording brings a deep sense of stability to the land. Disputes are settled by checking the scrolls. The past is consulted to resolve the present. You can feel the weight of this accumulated knowledge, a buffer against chaos. Because they write, they do not forget. They know how much seed was sown last year and how much is needed for the next. It is a civilization built on the bedrock of data, using the written word to smooth out the unpredictability of nature. The river swells and recedes, a rhythmic breathing that dictates the calendar. The people watch the water with a love that is mixed with respect. When the flood comes, it is not a disaster, but a gift, spreading the black, fertile silt over the fields. You stand on the bank, watching the water creep slowly over the dry land, drinking into the cracks, turning the grey dust into rich, dark mud. It is a slow-motion renewal, a yearly promise that life will return, and the rhythm continues. As the civilization matures, its gaze turns outward, towards the shimmering blue horizon of the sea. You drift now to the coast, where the air is salty and brisk, charged with the energy of departure. The harbour is a forest of masts, cedar logs stripped of their bark and shaped into curved hulls. The wood is strong and aromatic, repelling the rot of the water, built to dance with the waves. You hear the creak of rope and the snap of canvas as sails are hoisted, catching the prevailing wind. These sailors are the weavers of the world, threading their ships between distant islands and foreign shores. They navigate not by maps of paper, but by the map of the stars, reading the constellations as if they were road signs hung in the night sky. You are on the deck of one of these ships, feeling the gentle roll of the swell, the wooden hull humming against the water. There is a sense of boundless freedom here, a horizon that retreats forever, inviting you to follow. The cargo in the hold is a treasury of the senses. There are jars of olive oil, thick and golden, blocks of cedar, wood that scent the air, and sacks of murex shells, crushed to create a dye of deep royal purple. This purple is more than a color. It is a currency, a shade so rich and stable that it becomes famous across the known world. You watch the dye makers dipping wool into the vats, the fabric emerging with the color of a bruised twilight, destined for the robes of kings. With these goods travels something lighter, yet more durable: the alphabet. The complex pictures of the river valley are simplified, here into sound symbols, shapes that can be scratched quickly onto clay or wood. It is a democratic script, easy to learn, easy to transport. You see a merchant scratching a tally onto a shard of pottery using these new letters. He is unknowingly spreading a tool that will unlock the voice of the common man, a system that will one day write the books of the world, and the network endures. The ship glides into a new harbor, a city planned with a precision that rivals the stars. This is a place where the chaos of the early settlements has been tamed by the grid. The streets run straight and true, oriented to the cardinal directions, allowing the wind to sweep through and cool the city. You walk down a wide avenue, admiring the uniformity of the brickwork, the sense of equality in the architecture. There are no palaces towering over hovels here. There is a quiet, orderly dignity to every home. Beneath the streets, an invisible marvel is at work. Covered drains carry wastewater away. From the houses, a system of sanitation that keeps the air sweet and the people healthy. You hear the faint trickling of water moving underground, a hidden circulatory system that cleanses the city. It is a triumph of engineering dedicated to the well-being of the many, a silent service that allows life to flourish without the burden of disease. In the market squares of this grid city, the atmosphere is peaceful. Excavations here will find few weapons, but many toys. Small carts with moving wheels, whistles shaped like birds, figurines of animals. You pick up a small clay ox, feeling the fingerprints of the maker still faintly visible in the fired earth. It speaks of a society that valued play, that had the leisure to delight its children. The absence of fortifications suggests a people who lived in confidence, trusting in trade rather than conquest, and silence follows. Merchants here use seals of carved stone to mark their goods, pressing them into soft wax or clay. The images are intricate: a unicorn-like bull, a seated yogi, a tiger in the reeds. Each seal is a signature, a guarantee of quality and identity. You watch a transaction take place, a silent nod, a pressing of the seal. It is a moment of trust between strangers, bridged by the authority of the image. The system works because everyone agrees on the value of the mark. As the sun sets over the grid city, the baked bricks release their heat, warming the cool evening air. Families gather on flat roofs, watching. The twilight deepen. The smoke from cooking fires rises straight up, undisturbed by wind. There is a profound sense of order here, a feeling that humanity has found a way to live together in large numbers without losing its soul. The city is a machine for living, humming quietly in the dusk. Now the narrative current carries you across the great oceans, to a land of high mountains and deep jungles. The air here is different, thick with humidity, vibrating with the call of insects and the cry of tropical birds. You are in a world where the green canopy fights to reclaim every inch of stone. Yet, in the midst of this verdant explosion, great plazas have been cleared, open to the sky. The ground is level and paved, a stage for the observation of the universe. You stand at the foot of a temple that rises like a man-made mountain from the jungle floor. The steps are steep, lifting the climber out of the canopy and into the realm of the sky. The stone is limestone, porous and white, glowing softly under the moon. This is a place built to bridge the gap between the earth and the heavens. You feel the humidity on your skin, the smell of damp vegetation and orchids, a sensory richness that wraps around you like a heavy cloak, and still, it turns. The people here are obsessed with time. They do not just measure it, they worship it. They have calculated the movements of Venus, the cycles of the moon, and the length of the solar year with an accuracy that rivals modern instruments. You see a stone stela, tall and weathered, covered in glyphs that record a date deep in the past and project dates far into the future. They view time not as a line, but as a series of interlocking wheels, giant circles that repeat and return. This cyclical view of time brings a deep peace. There is no end of the world, only the turning of the page, the start of a new cycle. You watch an astronomer priest tracking the position of a star through a pair of crossed sticks. He is calm, focused, finding his place in the cosmos by the reliable light of distant suns. He knows that whatever happens on Earth, the sky will keep its rhythm. It is a comfort to know that the machinery of the universe is perfect. In the valleys between the mountains, other hands are cultivating a plant that will change the world. You see the tall, green stalks of maize, whispering in the breeze. The cobs are heavy, filled with kernels of yellow, white, and purple. This plant is a creation of human ingenuity, bred over centuries from a wild grass into a source of life. You watch a woman grinding the corn on a stone metate, the rhythmic shh sound filling the quiet morning. It is the sound of sustenance, the daily bread of a continent. High in the thin air of the Andes, the engineering becomes a battle against gravity. Terraces are carved into the steep mountainsides, creating flat ribbons of green land where there should be only cliff. You walk along one of these stone-walled gardens, marveling at the microclimates they create. The walls absorb the heat of the sun by day and release it by night, protecting the crops from the frost. It is a gentle manipulation of physics, turning the inhospitable mountain into a hanging garden. Connecting these high peaks is a road system that defies the terrain. Stone paths are laid with precision, crossing gorges on bridges of woven grass, climbing passes where the air is thin and cold. You walk on this road, feeling the stones beneath your feet, worn smooth by the passage of messengers and llamas. It is a lifeline of communication, allowing a message to travel hundreds of miles in days, carried by runners who pass the word like a baton, and peace hums through the body. Instead of ink and paper, the memory of this empire is kept in strings. You see a keeper of the records holding a quipu, a bundle of knotted cords. The position, color, and type of knot hold the data: taxes, census numbers, history. His fingers move across the knots like a blind man, reading Braille, interpreting the tactile language. It is a soft, silent way of remembering, a history recorded in texture rather than text. The strings hang heavy and still, holding the truth of the empire in their twists. The sun dips below the jagged peaks of the mountains, casting long purple shadows across the valleys. The air grows cold instantly, and the stars emerge with a brilliance that is startling in the thin atmosphere. You wrap yourself in a blanket of alpaca wool, warm and soft, and look up. The Milky Way is so bright, it casts a shadow. You are sitting on the roof of the world, surrounded by the silent achievements of those who learned to thrive in the clouds. From the high, thin air of the mountains, your attention drifts slowly downward, following the pull of gravity until you reach the shores of a calm, inland sea. The water here is a deep, translucent indigo, lapping against a coastline of white limestone and fragrant scrub. The air is warm and smells of wild thyme, salt, and pine resin. You are standing on a rocky outcrop, looking out over a scattering of islands that float in the haze like stepping stones. This is a place where the light is so clear it seems to sharpen the edges of thought. Here, the stone is not piled into pyramids, but cut into columns of graceful proportion. You walk through a grove of marble pillars, their surfaces fluted with vertical lines that catch the sun and hold the shadow. They stand like a petrified forest, supporting roofs that offer shade to philosophers and poets. There is a sense of balance here, a golden mean where mathematics and beauty meet. The structures do not dominate the landscape. They seem to have grown from it, white blossoms emerging from the grey rock. In the center of the town, there is an open space, a gathering ground where the air hums with the sound of voices. This is not a market for goods, but a market for ideas. Men and women gather in the shade of the colonnades, debating the nature of justice, the shape of the atom, and the movement of the stars. You listen to the flow of rhetoric, a stream of logic that seeks to organize the invisible world, just as the mason organizes the stone. And silence follows. Governance here is a tactile act. You watch as citizens cast their votes, not with paper, but with small, smooth pebbles dropped into urns. The click of stone against pottery is the sound of a decision being made, a collective will taking shape one piece at a time. It is a quiet ritual of participation, a recognition that the strength of the city lies in the shared responsibility of its people. The black stone and the white stone, simple elements of the earth become the binary code of democracy. On the hillside, a great theatre is carved into the living rock, a semicircle of stone seats facing the sea. The acoustics are a miracle of design. A whisper from the stage travels clearly to the highest row. You sit in the warm stone, listening to a play that explores the depths of the human heart. The audience breathes as one organism, reacting to the tragedy and the comedy with a shared emotional pulse. It is a place of catharsis, where the private burdens of the soul are released into the open air. The mind of this culture is obsessed with the human form. In the studios of sculptors, bronze is cast and marble is chipped away to reveal bodies of idealized perfection. You see a statue of a discus thrower, frozen in the moment before release, every muscle taut with potential energy. The artist has captured not just the anatomy, but the breath, the concentration, the fleeting instant of action. These figures stand in the squares and temples, silent guardians of physical excellence and grace. Beyond the city, the sea is a web of trade routes connecting distant lands. Ships with painted eyes on their prows cut through the waves, carrying jars of wine and oil. The amphorae are stacked in the hold, their pointed bottoms fitting perfectly into the gaps of the layer below. It is a geometry of transport, ensuring that the liquid harvest arrives safely. You can hear the creak of the rigging and the song of the lookout, a melody that has been carried by the wind for centuries. Far to the east, another thread of civilization is being spun. You drift now across the vast, arid stretches of the magnificent deserts, where the silence is absolute. Here, the road is not paved with stone, but marked by the bones of the earth and the alignment of the dunes. You see a caravan moving slowly against the horizon, a line of silhouettes distinct against the setting sun. The camel, with its rolling rhythmic gait, carries the weight of commerce across the sea of sand, and the quiet holds. The beast's feet are broad and padded, spreading its weight so it does not sink. It moves with a slow, deliberate patience, capable of enduring the heat and the thirst. You walk beside this gentle giant, hearing the soft thud of its steps and the jingle of the bells on its harness. The sound is a comfort in the vastness, a signal that life is moving, that connection is being maintained across the empty spaces. The caravan is a mobile city, carrying its own laws and its own survival. At night, the travelers stop at a caravanserai, a fortress of hospitality built around a central courtyard. The heavy wooden gates are closed against the dark, and fires are lit within. You smell the smoke of dung fires and the roasting of flatbread. Languages from a dozen. Different lands mingle here. Traders from the Silk Lands, merchants from the Spice Islands, envoys from the West. They share water and news, weaving a tapestry of stories that travels faster than the goods they carry. The treasure they guard is soft and light. Silk. You run your hand over a bolt of fabric, feeling it slide like water against your skin. It is cool, strong, and shimmering with an inner light. This material, born from the cocoon of a small moth, has motivated the movement of nations. It is a secret of nature transformed by human patience into a luxury that defies the harshness of the journey. The fabric ripples in the firelight, a river of color in the dusty courtyard. Farther east still, in a land of mist and bamboo, a new material is changing the nature of memory. Instead of heavy clay or expensive parchment, the people are making paper. You watch a vatman dipping a screen into a suspension of mulberry pulp, lifting it with a practiced, fluid motion. The water drains away, leaving a thin, matted layer of fibers. Pressed and dried, it becomes a sheet of pure potential, white, crisp, and ready to receive the thought. A scholar sits before a sheet of this new paper, a brush of wolf hair in his hand. He grinds the ink stick on a stone, a slow, meditative circle that prepares the mind. The ink is black as the deepest night, smelling of pine soot and musk. When the brush touches the paper, it does not scratch. It flows. The characters emerge in a dance of pressure and release, capturing the energy of the writer. Poetry, history, and lore are now light enough to be carried in a sleeve, and the current flows without effort. This culture reveres the harmony of nature. You walk through a garden designed to mirror the balance of the universe. Rocks are placed to represent mountains, and raked gravel mimics the flow of water. There is no wildness here, only a cultivated stillness. A wooden pavilion sits over a pond where koi fish swim, their orange scales flashing. In the dark water, you sit on the viewing platform, feeling the peace that comes from observing a landscape where nothing is accidental, where every leaf seems placed by a gentle hand. Back towards the west, the engineering of water reaches a new height. You stand in a valley, looking up at a massive stone structure that spans the river, an aqueduct. It is a series of arches, stacked one upon the other, carrying a channel of water high above the ground. The water flows by gravity alone, traveling the miles from the mountain springs to the thirsty city. You can hear the faint rushing sound of the stream high above, a captive river flying through the air. The arch is the secret of this strength. You look closely at the keystone, the central wedge that locks the entire curve into place. It holds the weight by pushing outward, distributing the burden down through the pillars to the earth. It is a triumph of compression, a shape that allows stone to bridge empty space. These arches march across the landscape, a procession of giants bringing the gift of life to the cities of the plain. The water arrives in the city and flows into great public baths. You enter a vaulted hall where the air is thick with steam, and the sound of splashing water echoes off the mosaic walls. The light filters down from high windows, softening the atmosphere. People float in the warm pools, their bodies weightless, the stress of the day dissolving in the heat. It is a communal luxury, a place where the cleaning of the body is also a cleansing of the mind. Underneath the city, the engineers have used a new kind of rock, concrete. Mixed with volcanic ash, it sets hard even underwater. You touch a wall that has stood for centuries, feeling its rough, enduring texture. It allows for domes and curves that stone cutting could never achieve. It is a liquid stone, poured into forms, hardening into a shape that defies the erosion of time. This grey, humble material is the glue that holds the empire together, and silence follows. Roads radiate from the city like the spokes of a wheel, straight and paved with flat, polygonal stones. You walk along one of these highways, the Via Appia, feeling the unyielding surface beneath your sandals. The road is crowned in the center to shed the rain, flanked by cypress trees that stand like dark sentinels. It is a line drawn across the chaos of nature, a clear path that says, you can go anywhere, and the way is prepared. Along this road, travelers navigate not just by landmarks, but by milestones, stone markers that tell the distance to the center of the world. You pass one of these pillars, reading the number carved into the rock. It gives a sense of location, a mathematical reassurance of where you are in the grand scheme. The world is measured, mapped, and connected. The isolation of the village is ended. The network of the continent has begun. In the libraries of the great cities, scrolls are stored in honeycomb racks, thousands of them. You stand in the quiet of a reading room, smelling the dry papyrus and the dust. Scholars here are not just copying the past, they are measuring the world. You see a man studying the shadows cast by sticks at different latitudes, calculating the circumference of the earth. He does not need to travel around the globe to know its size. He needs only geometry and the light of the sun. Medicine, too, is moving from magic to observation. In a sunlit courtyard, a physician listens to the chest of a patient, his ear pressed against the skin. He is listening to the rhythm of the heart, the sound of the breath. He notes the color of the eyes, the heat of the brow. There is a gentleness to this science, a recognition that the body has its own laws and its own power to heal. He prescribes rest, clean water, and herbs, a partnership with the body's natural desire for balance, and life adjusts once more. Glass has been discovered, not as a glaze, but as a vessel. You watch a glass blower, gathering a blob of molten silica on the end of a pipe. He blows gently, his breath expanding the hot orange sphere. It is a moment of transformation, where breath becomes form. The glass cools into a clear, delicate bottle, capable of holding light and liquid simultaneously. It is a material of paradox, solid yet transparent, fragile yet enduring. In the harbors, lighthouses rise like pillars of fire. You stand at the base of a great tower, looking up at the mirror that reflects the flame out. To see, It is a star brought down to earth, a fixed point for the sailor in the dark tossing of the waves. The light sweeps across the water, a rhythmic pulse of safety. It says, "Here is the land, here is the harbor, come home." Navigators hold instruments of brass, astrolabes and quadrants that fit the dome of the sky into the palm of a hand. You look through the sights, aligning the star with the horizon. The metal is cool and heavy, engraved with the paths of the planets. By reading the angle of the light, the sailor knows his place on the trackless ocean. It is a union of the abstract and the practical, finding one's way by looking up. The wind pushes the sails, and the trade winds carry the ships across the known world. Spices from the islands, cloves, nutmeg, pepper, drift into the ports, bringing the scent of the exotic to the tables of the West. You smell the sharp, warm aroma of pepper, a small wrinkled berry that is worth its weight in silver. It is the taste of distance, a sensory reminder of the vastness of the human network. As the sun sets on this era of expansion, the light turns golden and heavy. The marble columns glow with a soft amber warmth. The noise of the city quiets down, settling into the hum of the evening. You feel the stability of these achievements. The roads, the laws, the maps, the books. They are the furniture of our minds, the structures we still inhabit. You are resting in a garden enclosed by high walls, listening to the trickle of a fountain. The water flows from a lion's mouth into a basin of blue tile. The sound is continuous, a liquid mantra that washes away the fatigue of the journey. You are surrounded by the legacy of builders and dreamers, safe within the walls of history. The night sky appears, the same sky that the astronomers mapped, the same stars that guided the ships. You feel a deep connection to those who watched these stars before you. Their questions are your questions. Their peace is your peace. The earth beneath you is thick with their stories, a comfortable bed of memory. Sending paragraphs, 91 to 120 of 210. In this quiet garden, your eyes drift downward to the path beneath your feet. It is not made of simple dirt, but of thousands of small colored stones set into mortar, a mosaic. You see tiny cubes of red jasper, white marble, and black obsidian, each one insignificant on its own, yet together forming a grand, coherent picture. It is a floor of frozen pixels, a testament to the patience of the artist who saw the whole image before placing the first piece. The cold stone feels smooth and grounding, a map of fragments made whole by intention and time. The architecture around you begins to shift, moving from the heavy, horizontal lines of the earth to the soaring curves of the sky. You are standing beneath a great dome, a vast, suspended hemisphere of stone that mimics the vault of the heavens. At its center is an open eye, the oculus, allowing a single shaft of sunlight to pierce the interior gloom. This beam of light moves slowly across the floor as the day progresses, a silent solar clock tracking the turning of the world. It is a space where the heavy roof seems to float, held up by nothing but geometry and faith, and stillness travels through the water. Outside the city walls, the energy of the river is being harnessed in a new way. You hear the deep, rhythmic churning of a great wooden wheel, half submerged in the flowing current. The water pushes against the paddles, turning the axle with a relentless, inexhaustible force. It is the first time the burden of labor has been lifted from the muscle of man and beast, transferred to the tireless back of nature herself. The wheel groans softly, a song of leverage and fluid dynamics, spinning the gears of civilization. Inside the mill, the air is white with the dust of crushed grain. The giant millstones, cut from rough volcanic rock, grind against each other with a low, tectonic rumble. The grain is poured into the center and emerges at the edges as soft, pale flour. It is a transformation of texture, turning the hard, inedible seed into the soft potential of bread. You smell the raw, nutty scent of the wheat, a fragrance that promises sustenance for the winter. The stones turn and turn, a heavy, hypnotic dance of friction and food. In the quiet of a monastery, the preservation of memory has moved indoors. The light here is dim, filtered through narrow windows, illuminating the desk of a scribe. The paper of the East has not yet arrived here. Instead, he writes on vellum, the skin of a calf prepared until it is smooth and pale as cream. It is a durable surface, one that does not brittle with age. You hear the scratch of the quill, a feather shaped to a point, dipping into the inkhorn. The silence is thick, broken only by the sound of the word becoming physical. The scribe is not just writing, he is illuminating. You watch as he applies a delicate leaf of gold to the initial letter of the page. He breathes on the gold to warm it, pressing it down with a polished stone until it fuses with the parchment. When the light catches the page, the letter burns with a cold, divine fire. It is an act of reverence, dressing the knowledge in the raiment of kings. The book is no longer just a tool. It is a treasure, a jewel box of wisdom protected by heavy leather covers. And the rhythm continues. Far to the east, in the workshops of high ovens, the earth is being refined into something translucent. You see a potter working with a white clay called kaolin, firing it at temperatures that would melt lesser stones. The result is porcelain, white, ringing like a bell when tapped, and hard as jade. He paints it with a cobalt blue pigment that survives the heat, creating scenes of dragons and clouds that float on the white surface. It is a material of purity, a ceramic that mimics the quality of a shell or a pearl. In these same lands, a different kind of navigator is watching a bowl of water. Floating on the surface is a sliver of iron, rubbed against a lodestone until it possesses a strange, invisible hunger. No matter how the bowl is turned, the needle swings back, pointing stubbornly to the north. It is the compass, a device that listens to the magnetic song of the earth itself. You watch the needle settle, trembling slightly before finding its rest. It offers a direction that does not depend on the sun or the stars, a guide that works even in the deepest fog. Mathematics begins to embrace the void. You are in a scholar's room where numbers are not just for counting sheep, but for describing the abstract. He writes a symbol that looks like a small circle, a seed of nothingness, 0. It is a revolutionary concept, a placeholder that gives power to the numbers around it. It is the silence between the notes that makes the music possible. With this tool, calculations become vast, allowing the mind to grapple with the infinite and the infinitesimal, and everything rests in its place. From this void, algebra emerges, the art of balancing the unknown. You see equations written out where x is a missing weight that must be found to level the scales. It is a mental architecture, a way of solving problems by working backwards from the answer. The scholar moves the symbols with the grace of a dancer, finding the symmetry in the logic. It is a language of pure relationship, describing how one thing affects another across the equal sign. The world is revealed as a place of hidden variables and solvable mysteries. The architectural gaze shifts upward again, this time with a lightness that defies stone. You stand in the nave of a great cathedral, where the walls have almost dissolved. The heavy, rounded arches of the past have been broken and pointed, directing the thrust of the weight straight down into the earth. This allows the walls to open up, to become frames for something else. You feel the immense height of the ceiling, a space so vast it creates its own weather. The stone ribs soar like the branches of a petrified forest, meeting in the mist high above. Into these open walls, glass is set, not clear, but stained with the colors of gems: ruby red, sapphire blue, emerald green. The light of the sun passes through these windows and is transformed, painting the stone floor with pools of liquid color. You walk through a beam of blue light, feeling as if you are underwater. The stories of the saints are told not in words, but in light. It is a visual theology, a way of teaching the heart through the eyes. The air is cool and smells of beeswax candles and old stone, and silence follows. The sound in this space is designed to linger. You hear a choir chanting, their voices rising in a single, unified line of melody. The acoustics of the stone vault catch the sound, holding it, letting it roll and mix before it fades. It creates a reverberation that feels like the building itself is singing. The simple, monophonic chant calms the mind, slowing the pulse to match the long, drawn-out syllables. It is a sound of suspension, a bridge between the silence of the earth and the silence of the sky. In the tower above the town, a new machine is counting the hours. It does not rely on the sun or water, but on a falling weight, and a swinging escapement. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The sound is rhythmic, steady, a mechanical heartbeat for the city. You watch the great iron gears turning slowly, meshing with a clunking precision. This is the first time that time has been sliced into exact, equal portions, independent of the seasons. The bell tolls, sending a wave of sound across the rooftops, coordinating the lives of the people below. Below in the square, the university has opened its doors. It is a guild of students and masters, a place where knowledge is collected and debated. You see young men sitting on straw-covered floors, listening to a lecture on Aristotle or law. They are not just memorizing, they are arguing, testing ideas against one another. The air is charged with the energy of inquiry. Books are chained to the desks, valuable and rare, but the ideas within them are free, flying from mind to mind like birds. And the quiet holds. The tools of observation are being refined. You see a lens grinder polishing a piece of clear glass, shaping it into a curve. When he holds it up to his eye, the blurry world snaps into focus. He places the lenses in a wire frame, spectacles. For the scholar, whose eyes have grown dim with age, it is a miracle. The words on the page become sharp again. The details of the world return. It is a triumph of optics, extending the useful life of the mind, allowing the wisdom of the old to continue its work. In a quiet apothecary, the study of plants has become a science. You walk through a garden arranged not for beauty, but for healing. Each bed is labeled: sage for the memory, willow for the pain, lavender for the sleep. A herbalist walks the rows, snipping leaves with a small knife. The air is thick with the medicinal scent of crushed green things. It is a recognition that the earth has provided a remedy for every ailment, if one only knows where to look. The knowledge of the roots is as deep as the knowledge of the stars. The printing press arrives with a gentle, heavy creak. You are in a workshop smelling of oil and lead. A man is setting type, picking small metal letters from a case and sliding them into a line. The letters are backward, a mirror image of the thought. He inks the form with a leather ball, places a sheet of paper, and pulls the lever. The press comes down with a firm, even pressure. When the paper is lifted, the words are there, crisp and black. It is the beginning of the echo, the moment when a single voice can be multiplied 1,000 times. The books produced here are no longer just for the rich. They are smaller, lighter, meant to be held in the hand. You see a person sitting under a tree, reading a printed volume. They are alone, yet they are in conversation with a mind from a distant century. The silence of reading is a new kind of privacy, a personal interior space where the individual can grow. The walls of the monastery have fallen. The library is now everywhere, and the current flows without effort. As the knowledge spreads, the map of the world begins to change. You look at a mapmaker's table, where a parchment shows the known continents. The edges are blurry, marked with sea monsters and wind spirits. But the center is becoming precise. Coastlines are drawn with the ink of experience, traced by sailors who watch the sand pass beneath their keels. The world is becoming a sphere in the mind of the public, a globe that can be circumnavigated. The horizon is no longer a limit, but an invitation. In the studio of an artist, the laws of perspective are being discovered. He stands before a canvas, drawing lines that converge at a single vanishing point. The flat surface of the painting suddenly deepens, creating an illusion of three-dimensional space. You feel as if you could walk into the picture, down the painted street, towards the distant mountains. It is a mathematical conquest of space, a way of seeing the world through a window that never closes. The eye is guided, the focus directed, the reality captured. Chemistry is born in the smoke of the alchemist's furnace. Though they seek gold, they find something else, the understanding of matter. You watch the distillation of a liquid. In a glass retort, the clear drops falling one by one into a flask. They are isolating the essences of things: alcohol, acid, perfume. It is the beginning of the laboratory, the controlled environment where nature is taken apart to see how it works. The air smells of sulfur and rosewater, a mix of the pungent and the sweet. The night sky is looked at with new eyes. A man stands on a rooftop, holding not a sextant, but a tube with lenses at both ends. He points it at the moon and gasps. The smooth, celestial orb is revealed to be a world of mountains, craters, and silent seas. It is not a perfect sphere of divine ether, but a rock, like the Earth. You look through the glass, seeing the jagged shadows of the lunar peaks. The universe has suddenly gained texture and depth. It is a place of physical reality, not just myth. This realization brings a new humility. If the moon is a world and the planets are worlds, then the Earth is just one among many. You feel the shift in the center of gravity. The Earth begins to move in the mind, spinning around the sun. It is a dizzying, liberating thought. We are not the stagnant center. We are travelers on a great spaceship, orbiting the fire that gives us life. The silence of the night becomes the silence of a vast, open ocean of stars. And silence follows. The exchange of goods now spans the entire globe. You see a ship unloading crates in a bustling harbor. There are potatoes from the high Andes, corn from the Americas, porcelain from China, cotton from India. The world's pantry is being mixed. You see a meal on a table that contains ingredients from 4 continents. It is the first era of true connection, where the biological wealth of the planet is shared. The flavors of the world are mingling, creating new cuisines, new habits, new dependencies. With the goods come the people, and with the people, the music. You hear a lute being played, its strings vibrating with a complex polyphony. The music has moved beyond the single chant. It is now a conversation of many melodies weaving together. The notes chase each other, overlap, and resolve in harmony. It mirrors the complexity of the society, the many voices trying to find a common chord. You listen to the intricate plucking, feeling the mathematical beauty of the intervals. The city has grown into a metropolis, a creature of brick and glass. The streets are paved and lit by oil lamps at night. You walk through the evening mist, seeing the glow of windows where families are gathered. There is a sense of density, of millions of lives layered on top of one another. The history is deep here. You are walking on Roman stones, past medieval churches, under Renaissance arches. The past is not gone. It is the structure of the present. In a quiet room, a philosopher is writing about the social contract. He imagines a world where power comes not from the king, but from the consent of the governed. It is an idea as powerful as fire. You see the ink drying on the page, words that will one day topple empires without firing a shot. It is the evolution of the mind, the belief that freedom is a natural state. The thought is quiet, but it vibrates with a potential energy that will reshape the map, and life adjusts once more. You stand now at the threshold of the modern, yet the ancient rhythms remain. The baker still kneads the dough, the mason still cuts the stone, the mother still rocks the child. The tools have changed, the speed has increased, but the fundamental needs of the human heart are the same. We seek shelter, we seek understanding, we seek connection. The tapestry is vast, but the threads are the same simple stuff of life. Look back at the path we have traveled, from the first footprint in the mud to the print of the boot on the moon. It is one continuous journey. The fire in the cave is the same energy as the nuclear reactor. The clay tablet is the ancestor of the tablet screen. You are the heir to all of this. The strength of the pyramid, the logic of the Greek arch, the silence of the library. It is all inside you. You are the integration of every moment that has come before. The water that once flowed simply to the sea is now asked to perform a new kind of work. In the belly of a great iron boiler, the water is heated until it transforms, expanding with a quiet, irresistible pressure into steam. You watch this white cloud captured in a cylinder, pushing a piston with the steady rhythm of a giant metal heart. Huff, hiss, huff, hiss. It is the energy of the sun, stored in ancient coal, released to turn the heavy wheels of industry. The machine does not tire. It breathes the hot vapor and hums a low, monotonous song of power, liberating the world from the limits of muscle. This power is channeled into the loom, the ancient tool of the weaver, now multiplied 100 times. You stand in a hall of brick and glass, listening to the rhythmic clatter of the shuttles flying back and forth. The fabric grows at a speed that blurs the eye, yards of cotton flowing like a solid river. The patterns are programmed into punch cards, stiff paper rectangles with holes that tell the machine which thread to lift. It is the first digital code, a binary language of yes and no written in cardboard, weaving the complex tapestry of the industrial age. The Iron Horse arrives to shrink the world. You are sitting in a velvet seat, looking out a rectangular window as the landscape begins to slide by. First, slowly, then with a rushing speed that turns the trees into a green blur. The rhythm of the wheels on the track is a steady, percussive beat. Click, clack, a lullaby of motion. You are traveling faster than any horse could gallop, yet you are sitting perfectly still. The distance between cities, once measured in days of weary travel, is now measured in hours of quiet observation, and the rhythm continues. As the ground is cut to make way for these iron roads, the earth reveals its own secret history. Men, digging deep channels through the hillsides, expose layers of rock that have been hidden for eons. You stand before a cliff face, seeing the distinct bands of color: red sandstone, gray limestone, black shale. It is a giant book of stone, with each layer representing a different chapter of time. For the first time, humanity realizes that the history of the world is much older than the history of man. You run your finger across a seam of coal, touching a forest that grew millions of years ago. Embedded in these layers are the hardened shapes of creatures that no longer walk the earth. You see a man carefully brushing away the dust from a massive, spiral shell, turned to stone. It is an ammonite, a voyager from a vanished ocean. These fossils are the letters of a lost language, speaking of a time when the world was ruled by giants. The discovery brings a profound shift in perspective. We are not the first tenants of this house. We are walking on a crust that is thick with life, standing on the shoulders of strange and wonderful ancestors. This curiosity turns into the science of archaeology. It is no longer about hunting for treasure, but about understanding the daily life of the past. You watch an excavator working in the shadow of a volcano, clearing the ash from a buried city. He does not use a pickaxe, but a small trowel and a brush. He finds a loaf of bread, carbonized but intact, still resting in the oven where it was baked 2,000 years ago. It is a moment of intense connection, the domestic routine interrupted, preserved in a shell of grey silence. To preserve these fragments, we build the museum, a secular cathedral for memory. You walk through a high-ceilinged hall where the light is cool and diffuse. Behind glass, the objects of the past are suspended in a dust-free quiet. A clay pot, a bronze sword, a jade comb. Removed from the soil, they are given a new kind of immortality. You look at a golden mask, staring back at the empty eyes. It is a space of stillness where the chaotic flow of time is paused, allowing you to examine the wreckage and the beauty of what has been left behind. And silence follows. Light itself is finally captured. In a studio smelling of lavender and chemicals, a photographer prepares a plate of glass coated in silver salts. He places it in a wooden box and opens the shutter for a few seconds. The light from the subject reflects into the lens, burning an image onto the plate. You watch the picture emerge in the developing bath, a ghostly face resolving into sharpness. It is a mirror with a memory, freezing a fleeting moment forever. The smile, the fold of the dress, the light in the eye, all held static against the erosion of years. Communication sheds the weight of the physical. A copper wire is strung between wooden poles, stretching for miles across the plains. A man taps a small brass key. Tap, tap, tap. An electric pulse travels instantly down the wire, a spark of thought moving at the speed of light. In a distant city, another key clicks in response. The telegraph collapses distance, allowing a voice to be heard without the body moving. It is the beginning of the global nervous system, a network of copper nerves pulsing with the news of the world. Then, the night is banished. You stand in a room as a switch is thrown, and a glass bulb glows with a steady, yellow incandescence. The filament, a thin thread of carbon, resists the current and turns it into light. There is no smoke, no smell, no flickering flame. It is a steady, silent star brought indoors. The rhythm of life is no longer dictated by the setting sun. The day can last as long as we wish. The city at night becomes a constellation of its own, a galaxy of windows glowing against the dark, and the quiet holds. Iron is purified into steel, a metal with the strength to scrape the sky. You crane your neck to look up at the skeleton of a new building, a grid of girders rising higher than any cathedral. The walls are not holding the building up. The frame does the work, allowing the skin to be made of glass. It is a vertical ambition, a desire to live in the clouds. You ride an elevator, a small room that lifts you effortlessly against gravity, watching the city shrink below you until it looks like a map of itself. The dream of Icarus is finally realized, not with wax and feathers, but with canvas and mathematics. You stand on a grassy field, watching a fragile machine of wood and wire bounce into the air. It leaves the ground, carried by the curve of the wing and the push of the propeller. The perspective of the human race changes instantly. You are looking down at the patchwork of fields, the ribbon of the river, the smallness of the houses. The boundaries that seemed impassable from the ground are revealed to be mere lines on a unified landscape. Voices begin to travel through the air without wires. You sit in a living room, looking at a wooden box with a glowing dial. You turn a knob, tuning a crystal to the frequency of the invisible waves passing through the room. Suddenly, music fills the air, a symphony played in a hall hundreds of miles away. It is a kind of magic, this harvesting of sound from the ether. Millions of people listen to the same song at the same moment, a shared experience that binds the nation together in a web of invisible vibration. And the current flows without effort. The gaze of science turns inward to the very building blocks of matter. A physicist looks not at the stars, but at the atom. He realizes that the solid world is mostly empty space, held together by forces of attraction. The chair you sit on, the floor beneath you, the hand you hold, it is all a dance of tiny particles whirling in a void. This knowledge does not make the world feel less real, but more miraculous. You are a gathering of energy, a stable pattern in the quantum flux, holding your shape against the chaos. This understanding leads to the silicon chip, a microscopic city of logic. You look at a wafer of polished silicon, etched with pathways thinner than a hair. It is a loom for information, weaving zeros and ones into complex thoughts. The heavy machinery of the industrial age is replaced by the silent processing of data. The Library of Alexandria is now compressed into a flake of stone, accessible to anyone with a screen. The mind of the species is becoming interconnected, a digital noosphere wrapping the planet in a layer of thought. The final frontier is crossed as fire returns to propel us upward. You watch a rocket standing on the launch pad, a white obelisk breathing pure oxygen. When the engines ignite, it is a controlled explosion, a pillar of flame that pushes the vessel free from the grip of the earth. You feel the rumble in your chest, a vibration of pure power. The ship rises, piercing the blue envelope of the atmosphere, entering the silence of the vacuum. It is the first time life has left the cradle, a seed floating into the great ocean of night, and silence follows. From this vantage point, the astronaut looks back. Through the portal, the Earth appears as a marble of swirling blue and white, hanging in the black velvet of space. You see no borders, no political lines, only the unified system of clouds and oceans. It is a fragile, breathtaking jewel, shielded by a thin membrane of air. This view changes the human heart forever. We realize that we are all travelers on the same ship, breathing the same recycled air, drifting together through the dark. The overview effect brings a deep, protective love for the home we share. We send a message to the future, casting a bottle into the cosmic ocean. A golden record is bolted to the side of a probe, etched with the sounds of Earth, the wind, the thunder, the songs of whales, the greeting of a mother to her child. It carries images of our bodies, our cities, our mathematics. It is a gesture of profound hope, a belief that someone, somewhere, might one day listen. The probe drifts past the planets, leaving the solar system, carrying the memory of us into the infinite silence. Back on Earth, we look inward again, discovering the script written in our own blood. You see a model of the double helix, a twisted ladder of molecules that holds the code of life. DNA is a history book that lives inside every cell of your body. It carries the record of every ancestor, every virus survived, every adaptation made. You are a walking archive, a living library of biological resilience. The continuity of history is not just in the books, it is woven into the very fiber of your being, and life adjusts once more. Even the ruins of the modern age begin to tell a story. You walk through an abandoned factory where the roof has fallen in and the sunlight streams onto the rusted machinery. Moss grows over the gears. A birch tree sprouts from a crack in the concrete floor. It is not sad, but peaceful. Nature is reclaiming the space, softening the hard edges, turning the iron back into earth. It is a reminder that everything we build is temporary, a borrowed shape that will eventually return to the cycle of the soil. In the frozen north, we build a vault to ensure the future. You stand before a concrete portal jutting out of the snow on a remote island. Inside, deep within the permafrost, millions of seeds are stored in sealed packets. Wheat from Syria, corn from Mexico, rice from China. It is a backup drive for the biosphere, a guarantee that no matter what happens, the potential for life is safe. It is an act of long-term thinking, a cathedral of cold built to protect the warm promise of the harvest. Now, you sit in a room that is the culmination of all these layers. The walls are smooth, the light is steady, the air is warm. You hold a device that connects you to the sum of human knowledge. But beneath the floor, the earth is still the same. The water in your glass is the same water that flowed in the ancient river. The air you breathe is the same air that filled the lungs of the first dreamer. You are not cut off from the past. You are the leading edge of it, the place where history becomes the present. The city outside is a vast, breathing organism. You watch the flow of traffic, the red and white lights moving like blood cells in an artery. The subway trains rumble deep underground, following tunnels that were dug by hands long gone. The water pipes, the electric cables, the fiber optic lines, they are the roots of this metal forest, invisible but vital. The system works because of the millions of small agreements made between people, the shared belief in order and cooperation. And still, it turns. You realize that history is not a straight line, but a spiral. We return to the same themes: shelter, connection, understanding, but at a higher level of complexity. The fire in the cave becomes the nuclear reactor. The smoke signal becomes the internet. The tribal circle becomes the global community. The fundamental desires do not change, only the tools we use to fulfill them. This realization brings a sense of calm. We are not lost in a new world, but continuing the work of the old one. The silence of the library is still a sacred space. You walk through the stacks of a modern archive, smelling the scent of old paper and binding glue. Here, the thoughts of the dead are waiting to speak. You pull a book from the shelf, opening it to a random page. The voice of a philosopher from 3 centuries. Ego enters your mind, clear and immediate. It is a telepathy across time, a conversation that death cannot interrupt. As long as we read, we are never alone. In the laboratories, we are learning to heal the body with the same precision we use to map the stars. You see a surgeon using a robotic hand, guiding instruments with microscopic accuracy. The heart continues to beat. The breath continues to flow. It is the continuation of the shaman's work, the desire to alleviate suffering and prolong. The light. We are becoming the stewards of our own biology, learning to work with the wisdom of the body rather than against it. And the quiet deepens. The art of the world has exploded into 1,000 forms. You stand in a gallery, looking at a canvas of pure color, a field of blue that vibrates with emotion. It does not depict a scene, but a feeling. It is a direct transmission from heart to heart, bypassing the logic of the brain. Beside it, a video installation loops a moment of time, stretching a second into an hour. We are still painting on the walls, still trying to externalize the interior world, just as we did in the caves of Lascaux. You look up at the night sky, now crisscrossed by the silent paths of satellites. They are new stars, artificial monitors that watch the weather, guide the ships, and connect the calls. They are the guardians of the network, spinning in the silent vacuum. They remind us that we have built a second nature, a technological skin that wraps the planet. It is a layer of protection and connection, a testament to our desire to be held within a system greater than ourselves. And so, the river of time flows into the present moment. You are sitting on the bank, watching the water move. It carries the silt of the pyramids, the dust of the Roman roads, the ash of the industrial chimneys. It is all there, dissolved in the current. You do not need to carry the weight of it. The river carries it for you. You only need to trust the flow, to know that you are supported by everything that has come before. The noise of the modern world fades into a background hum, a white noise that is strangely comforting. It is the sound of a billion lives living together, a collective breath that never stops. Within this hum, you can find your own silence. You can close your eyes and feel the stability of the chair, the gravity of the earth, the beat of your own heart. You are a point of stillness in the turning world, a witness to the unfolding of the great story. You are now resting at the summit of this long climb, looking out over the landscape of time. From this height, the distinctions between the eras begin to blur. The Stone Age, the Iron Age, the Silicon Age. They are not separate rooms, but different shades of light in the same long day. You realize that you do not leave the past behind. You carry it with you, folded into the pockets of your culture and the language you speak. The very words you use to describe the world are polished. Stones, handed down through thousands of generations, smoothed by the tongues of ancestors you will never know. Consider the simple act of drinking a glass of water. You turn a tap, and clear, cool liquid flows without effort. But in that glass lies the history of the aqueduct, the pottery wheel, the irrigation ditch, and the cloud. It is a convergence of engineering and geology, a silent toast to the millions of minds who work to solve the problem of thirst. You drink, and you are participating in a ritual as old as the first cell. The water is timeless, recycling through the atmosphere and the oceans, bringing the memory of the dinosaurs and the glaciers to your lips. And silence follows. In the quiet corners of the city, nature is slowly softening the hard lines of human ambition. You walk past an old stone wall where ivy has taken hold. The vines cling to the rough surface with tiny biological anchors, climbing toward the light. It is a slow embrace. The green world, reclaiming the grey. The leaves whisper against the stone, a conversation between the organic and the mineral. It is not a destruction, but a decoration, a reminder that the earth is always waiting to wrap us in its green blanket. Deep in the archives of the internet, a new kind of archaeology is taking place. Servers hum in cool, climate-controlled rooms, storing the digital memories of the species. Emails, photographs, songs, and maps are preserved as magnetic patterns on spinning disks. It is a library of light, a place where nothing is truly lost, only archived. You imagine the data flowing through the fiber optic cables like thoughts through a neuron, a collective dream that never wakes. The weight of history has become weightless, floating in the cloud, accessible to anyone who asks. Yet, even with this digital vastness, we still crave the tangible. You watch a person writing in a paper journal, the pen scratching across the page. There is a specific pleasure in the friction of ink on paper, a grounding sensation that a screen cannot replicate. The hand moves in a rhythm that matches the breath, slowing the mind down to the speed of the body. It is a private act of creation, a way of making the internal world physical. The notebook becomes a small personal monument, a testimony that says, "I was here, I felt this," and the rhythm continues. The buildings around you are a mixture of the new and the repurposed. An old factory, once loud with the banging of metal, is now a quiet loft filled with plants and soft light. The high windows that once illuminated heavy machinery now light up a painting on the wall. We are learning to inhabit the shells of the past, treating them with a gentle respect. It is a form of recycling that honors the labor of the builders, recognizing that a structure can have many lives, evolving just as we do. Walk through a park in the center of the metropolis. The trees here are old, their roots knobby and thick, reaching deep under the pavement. They have stood witness to the carriage, the car, and the bicycle. They provide a canopy of shade that is democratic and free. You sit on a wooden bench, watching the leaves drift down in the autumn breeze. Each leaf is a solar panel that has finished its work, returning its energy to the soil. The cycle is perfect, efficient, and silent. The city breathes because these trees breathe. High above the atmosphere, the weather satellites look down with their electronic eyes. They see the swirling patterns of the clouds, the flow of the ocean currents, the white caps of the storms. They do not see borders or nations. They see a unified system of energy and fluid dynamics. This perspective is a gift of science, a way of seeing the planet as a single breathing organism. We are learning to predict the wind, to understand the rain, to respect the complex temperament of the atmosphere, and the quiet holds. In the laboratories of the North, scientists are reading the history written in ice. They drill deep into the glaciers, pulling up cylinders of frozen time. Each layer of ice is a year, trapping tiny bubbles of ancient air. You look at a core sample, seeing the distinct bands of winter and summer. By analyzing the air from 10,000 years ago, we learn how the world breathed before we built our cities. The ice is a cold, clear memory, holding the truth of the climate in its crystal lattice. We are also listening to the Earth itself, seismographs placed in deep quiet. Caves record the subtle vibrations of the tectonic plates. The Earth is never truly still. It is always shifting, settling, adjusting its weight. You watch the stylus drawing a wavy line on a drum of paper, a transcription of the planet's heartbeat. It is a reminder of the immense energies that slumber beneath our feet, the slow, continental drift that shapes the map over millions of years. We are riding on a raft of rock, floating on a sea of magma. The ocean floor is crisscrossed with the nerves of the modern world. Massive cables, thick as a tree trunk, lie in the dark silt of the abyss. They carry the internet between continents, pulses of light traveling under the crushing pressure of the deep. Fish swim past these silent conduits, unaware of the billions of conversations flowing through them. It is a hidden miracle, a physical connection that binds the human family together across the vast, lonely stretches of water. And the current flows, without effort. Language itself is a living museum. When you say the word mother, or star, or night, you are using sounds that have been spoken for thousands of years. These words are durable, surviving the rise and fall of empires, passed from mouth to ear in an unbroken chain. You feel the resonance of these ancient syllables, the way they fit comfortably in the mouth. They are the common currency of the human experience, the simple tools we use to touch each other's minds. In the art restoration studios, patience is the primary tool. You watch a conservator cleaning an oil painting from the Renaissance. With a cotton swab and a gentle solvent, she removes centuries of varnish and smoke. Slowly, the true colors emerge. The brilliant blue of a robe, the rosy flush of a cheek. It is an act of care, a way of keeping the window to the past clean. We are the custodians of beauty, charged with the duty of handing it down to the next generation brighter than we found it. The night sky is no longer a mystery, but it is still a source of wonder. You stand in a dark field, far from the city lights, and look up. The Milky Way stretches across the zenith, a river of spilled milk, a galaxy of 100 billion suns. You know now that you are looking into the past. The light from those stars left them before the pyramids were built. You are time-traveling with your eyes, witnessing the universe as it was, not as it is. It is a humbling, expansive feeling, to be so small and yet to see so far. And silence follows. We have learned to extend our senses beyond the visible. Radio telescopes, giant dishes turned toward the sky, listen to the faint whispers of the cosmos. They hear the remnant radiation of the Big Bang, the hiss of pulsars, the silence of black holes. It is a music of the spheres that we cannot hear with our ears, but can see on our screens. We are listening to the echo of creation, tuning in to the frequency of the infinite. Back on Earth, the simple act of sleep connects us to all of history. When you lie down and close your eyes, you are doing exactly what every human who has ever lived has done. The pharaoh in his palace, the farmer in his hut, the astronaut in her bunk. all surrender to the same biological need. Sleep is the great equalizer, the shared sanctuary where the conscious mind rests and the body restores itself. In the dark, we are all the same, vulnerable and peaceful, drifting on the tide of dreams. The artifacts we leave behind will one day tell our story. You look at a plastic bottle, a simple, disposable object. But to the archaeologist of the future, it will be a marvel of chemistry, a vessel that lasts for centuries. Our layer in the rock will be marked by these new materials, a distinct stratum of the Anthropocene. It is a sobering thought, but also a peaceful one. We are leaving a mark, adding our own distinct chapter to the book of the earth. Think of the sounds that have vanished, the clatter of the chariot wheel, the cry of the town crier, the scratch of the quill. They are gone, absorbed into the silence, but new sounds have taken their place. The hum of the refrigerator, the ring of the telephone, the roar of the jet engine. The soundscape of the world shifts slowly, a changing melody over a constant bass note of wind and water. We tune our ears to the present, finding comfort in the familiar noises of our own time. And life adjusts once more. The concept of home has expanded. We are no longer citizens of a single valley, but of a blue marble. You see the flag of the United Nations, a map of the world embraced by olive branches. It is a symbol of our attempt to organize ourselves at the scale of the planet. We are learning, slowly and painfully, to work together, to manage the resources of a finite world. It is the growing pains of a global civilization, the difficult transition from adolescence to adulthood. In the quiet of a library at night, the books stand in rows like sleeping soldiers. They hold the thoughts of the dead, waiting for the eye of the living to awaken them. You run your finger along the spines, feeling the texture of the binding. Inside these covers are the cures for diseases, the blueprints for cathedrals, the poems of love and loss. It is a battery of potential energy, a reservoir of wisdom that is always full. You are never alone in a library. You are surrounded by the best parts of the human spirit. We have begun to protect the wild places, recognizing that we need them. You stand at the edge of a national park, a vast tract of land left intentionally untouched. It is a museum of the natural world, a place where the ecosystem functions without our interference. We visit these places to remember where we came from, to reset our biological clocks to the rhythm of the sun and the moon. The existence of the wild is a psychological anchor, a guarantee that the world is bigger than our designs, and the quiet deepens. The family album has moved to the screen. You scroll through images of your life, a timeline of smiling faces and sunny days. It is a personal history, a way of freezing time. We are the most documented generation in history, recording our lives with a compulsive joy. In the future, these images will be the mosaic of our era, a billion pixelated windows into the way we lived and loved. Even the way we measure time has become a web. The atomic clocks, vibrating with the frequency of cesium atoms, keep the entire world in sync. GPS satellites, banking networks, power grids, all dance to the same precise beat. We have wrapped the chaotic flow of time in a net of nanoseconds, creating a structure of immense stability. You can trust the time on your screen. It is a consensus of the entire species, a shared agreement on the moment of now. The ruins of antiquity are not sad places. They are peaceful. You sit on a fallen column in the Roman Forum, the marble warm from the sun. The noise of the empire has long since faded, replaced by the chirping of crickets and the shuffle of tourists. The stone has lost its sharp edges, softened by the rain and the wind. It has returned to a state of rest, no longer bearing the weight of a roof, but simply existing as beautiful matter. It is a gentle reminder that everything eventually lays down its burden. We are learning to see the beauty in the broken. The Japanese art of kintsugi repairs broken pottery with gold, highlighting the cracks rather than hiding them. It celebrates the history of the object, the trauma, and the recovery. It says that to be broken and mended is more beautiful than to be new. Our history is full of cracks, full of mistakes, but the gold of our resilience makes the vessel whole again, and the rhythm continues. The light of the city at night is a new kind of geography. From the air, the continents are outlined in constellations of gold and amber. The Nile Delta is a lotus flower of light. The highways of Europe are a spiderweb of glowing threads. It is a bioluminescence of the human species, a signal that says, we are here, we are awake, we are together. The dark is no longer an enemy, but a canvas for our presence. As you sit in your room, you are the focal point of all these converging lines. The electricity in the wall, the cotton of your sheets, the glass of your window, all are gifts from the deep past. You are the beneficiary of 1,000,000 inventions, 1,000 struggles. You do not have to invent the wheel, or the alphabet, or the antibiotic. They are your inheritance, given freely. You can rest in this abundance, supported by the invisible hands of your ancestors. The anxiety of the news cycle is just surface noise, the chop on the top of the ocean. Below it, the deep currents of civilization move slow and steady. The fundamental things, love, family, safety, curiosity, do not change with the headlines. They are the bedrock, the solid ground upon which the frantic events of the day play out. You can sink down into this bedrock, finding a stability that the surface cannot disturb, and everything rests in its place. You are part of a story that is still being written. The pen is in your hand, but you do not have to write a whole chapter tonight. You only have to breathe. The story pauses here, in this quiet room, in this moment of stillness. The past is a pillow, and the future is a blanket. You are safe in the space between them. The great wheel of history turns slowly, so slowly that you cannot feel it moving. It carries you gently into the future, without a jolt or a bump. You are a passenger on the earth, traveling through the dark with 7 billion others. The journey is long, but the company is good. You can close your eyes now, knowing that the ship is being steered by the collective wisdom of the ages. Consider the quiet miracle of your own body, a structure built from the blueprints of deep time. Your bones are made of calcium, a mineral born in the hearts of dying stars and settled into the white limestone of the earth. The iron in your blood is the same iron that cores the planet, a heavy magnetic anchor. You are not just living on the earth, you are the earth, animated and conscious. You are the universe looking at itself, a momentary wave rising from the ocean of matter to feel the sun, and silence follows. The language of your breath is the oldest language of all. Before there were words, there was the rhythm of inhalation and exhalation. It is the same rhythm that moves the tides, the same cycle that swells the seasons. When you breathe slowly, you are synchronizing your small clock with the great pendulum of the natural world. In and out, rise and fall. It is a comforting oscillation, a physical reminder that life is a series of arrivals and departures, always returning to the center. The darkness of the room is not an emptiness, it is a presence. It is the same soft velvet that wrapped the first sleepers in the cave, the same cool shadow that filled the temples of the Nile. Darkness is the blanket of the species, the signal that the work is done and the time for restoration has come. In the dark, the eyes relax, the visual cortex dims, and the mind turns inward to the private theater of dreams. It is a safe, enclosed space, a cocoon where the butterfly of the soul rests. Think of the millions of people sleeping right now, a wave of rest traveling around the globe with the night. You are part of this vast, silent chorus. In high-rise apartments, in thatched huts, in ships at sea, the breathing is the same. The need for rest unifies us more than any flag or philosophy. We are a species that requires the pause, the surrender to the horizontal. You are in good company, held within the collective slumber of the human family, and the quiet holds. The anxieties of the timeline dissolve in this state. The past is a finished book, resting on the shelf. The future is a blank page, waiting for the light. But here, in the center, there is only the present moment. It is a point of perfect balance, a suspension of demand. You do not need to build a pyramid tonight. You do not need to chart the stars. You only need to let gravity do its work, pulling you gently down into the soft support of the bed. The bed itself is a triumph of civilization. It is a platform raised above the floor, a dedicated space for comfort. The mattress supports the curve of the spine. The pillow cradles the weight of the head. It is a nest refined over centuries, designed to offer the body the path of least resistance. You can feel the tension draining out of your muscles, flowing down into the earth. The physical world is holding you up, so you do not have to hold yourself. Listen to the silence of the house. It is the sound of a machine at rest. The walls stand firm, protecting you from the wind. The roof sheds the dew. The structure is doing its job, a silent sentry that allows you to let down your guard. You are the beneficiary of the architect's skill, the mason's strength, the carpenter's eye. They have built a shell for your peace, a stationary vessel where you can drift without moving, and peace hums through the body. The memories of the day begin to sort themselves, like sediment settling in a jar of river water. The heavy, sharp stones sink to the bottom. The clear water remains on top. The mind has a natural ability to filter, to keep what is necessary and release what is not. You can trust this process. You do not need to organize your thoughts. Sleep will organize them for you. It is the nightly maintenance of the self, the gentle sweeping of the mental rooms. Outside, the moon continues its watch. It has looked down on the fires of the Paleolithic, the lamps of Rome, the electric glow of New York. It is the silent witness, the unchanging face in the changing sky. Its light is cool and reflected, a gentle illumination that does not demand attention. It pulls the tides of the ocean and the tides of your blood, a subtle, gravitational lullaby. It reminds you that there is order in the heavens, a rhythm that survives all chaos, and stillness travels through the water. The river of time we have traveled tonight widens now, slowing down as it approaches the sea. The current is no longer rushing, it is drifting. The banks recede, the details of the shore blur. You are moving from the specific to the universal, from the story of history to the feeling of eternity. The water is warm and buoyant, carrying you effortlessly toward the horizon of sleep. You can let go of the dates, the names, the inventions. They are safe in the books. They do not need to be carried in your mind. What remains is the feeling of continuity, the sense that you are part of a long, successful experiment. You are the result of endurance, the child of survivors. This knowledge is a deep root, anchoring you against the wind. You belong here, in this time, in this body, in this rest. The fire of the mind dims to a soft, glowing ember. It is enough. You have seen the arc of the journey, the rise of the stone, and the flight of the rocket. You have acknowledged the labor of the ancestors. Now, it is your turn to participate in the oldest tradition of all, the restoration of the self. The torch has been passed to you, but you do not need to carry it while you sleep. You can set it down. It will be there in the morning, burning bright. Your breathing deepens, becoming slow and rhythmic, like the swell of the ocean. In, out, in, out. It is the sound of the waves on the shore of consciousness. With every breath, you sink a little deeper into the mattress. With every breath, the external world retreats a little further. You are returning to the internal, to the quiet biology of being, and everything softens. The edges of the room blur. The sensation of the blanket becomes the only reality, a warm, heavy texture that grounds you. The temperature is perfect. The stillness is absolute. You are safe. You are warm. You are held. There is nothing left to do. There is nowhere else to be. The history of the world is a story of resilience, and you are resilient. The history of the world is a story of adaptation, and you can adapt. But tonight, the history of the world is simply a story of rest, a pause between the beats, a silence between the notes. You are the silence now. You are the space where the noise stops. If a thought arises, let it drift by like a leaf on the stream. Do not reach for it. Watch it spin slowly in the current and disappear around the bend. The river knows where it is going. You can trust the flow. You are not the captain tonight. You are the passenger. The current is gentle, and the destination is peace, and silence follows. A deep, nourishing silence that sinks into the bones. It is the silence of the library after the doors are locked, the silence of the field after the harvest is gathered, the silence of the stone that has stood for 1,000 years. It is a heavy, comfortable silence, wrapping around you like a cloak. The narrative of humanity is a circle. We wake, we build, we strive, we sleep, and then we wake again. But for now, the building is done. The striving is over. The circle is closing for the night. You are entering the dormant phase, the necessary winter that allows for the spring. It is a natural law, as inescapable as gravity. To rest is to obey the rhythm of the universe. Your eyelids are heavy, sealed by a gentle weight. Behind them, the screen is dark. The projector has been turned off. The show is over. What remains is the feeling of the seat, the comfort of the theater. You can stay here as long as you like, drifting in the afterglow of the story. The ancient world is sleeping with you. The artisans, the scribes, the farmers, they are all at rest in the great memory of the earth. You are joining them in the quiet. The timeline has folded in on itself, becoming a single point of peaceful existence. There is no past, no future, only this soft, breathing now. And peace lingers. It settles in the corners of the room, in the folds of the sheets, in the spaces between your thoughts. It is a tangible presence, a thickness in the air that cushions you. You are submerged in it, protected by it. Feel the support of the generations behind you. They are a mountain on which you stand, a solid foundation that will not move. You are the summit, the point where the mountain meets the sky. You can rest on this height, supported by the immense mass of history. You are not alone. You are upheld. The final brick is laid. The wall is complete. The structure is sound. You have built a shelter of thoughts, a sanctuary of perspective. Now you can inhabit it. You can curl up inside the knowledge that everything is connected, everything is cyclical, and everything is fundamentally all right. Let the final tension leave your jaw, your shoulders, your hands. Let your fingers curl naturally, holding nothing. Let your feet fall open. The body knows how to sleep. It has been doing it for millions of years. It remembers the way. You just have to let it lead. The river meets the sea. The fresh water mixes with the salt. The individual current dissolves into the great, wide ocean. You are the ocean now, vast, deep, and slow. The surface may ripple, but the deep water is always still. Sink down into that deep water, and life adjusts once more. The night holds you. The stars watch over you. The earth carries you. If your eyes remain open, another journey awaits. But if sleep arrives, you are already home. Thank you for drifting with us on the Sleeping Science channel. Sleep well.